All right, so let's look at how to set up GitHub here. Um, First, you'll want to go to just GitHub desktop. Uh, Here, you'll be able to download the desktop application to allow you to communicate with GitHub's website. Um, I'll skip downloading this, but once you do this, you'll get a window-looking thing like this here. Let me pull up mine. When you open it, um, you'll get a window like this. So to set up a GitHub repository, let's just file, new repository. Let's name this one project salamander. Mander. Um, I will choose where to put this. I'm going to just put on a new volume. I'm just going to put it in a GitHub folder I made for myself. Here, I'll put in here new the ER or AR. Let's see. Salamander. There we go. Select that folder. Gitignore will set up as Unreal. And I'll show a custom version of this gitignore later. That is just like a text file. We could edit that. We could choose to initialize this with the README. The README is also like a text file that just includes information that'll be parsed out on the GitHub website to show just whatever information you want to describe. And just license, I'll put none. So we'll hit create. Yeah, then we can have this. This isn't pushed yet. This is only on my own computer. So here I can open up this. I put a dash in there. We have this project salamander file in here. And this has a couple different files. You don't need, this is a hidden file typically. You can ignore that. Git attributes, we don't need to edit either. The gitignore file, this tells GitHub, which uses the Git language to know what files to ignore. This is the preset one they have for Unreal. But let me go just find it here in a different project of mine. I'll grab this gitignore. I'll just copy and paste this one in. And I'll put a copy of this in the description. But this just allows for fewer things to be pushed to GitHub that really don't need to. So for different like compiled source files for the engine to use, you don't need to be sharing that with all the other team members. Let's see, we could close that. The README, just to test this out. I think this uses ML, like markup language. Do like hashtag title or something. We'll see how that looks. Save that, close this. Here, now that I've made 2 changes, it tells me exactly what files I've changed and the changes that I've made to those files. Let's say I want to like make those changes. I'll go down here, bottom left, I need to add a summary. We'll just put like initial to GitHub project files, right? And we can commit it. There, so now we have, if we go to history, here's the initial commit. It's just like the initial creation of the project file, and then initial GitHub project files is what I just did to the gitignore and README. However, this is still just on my own computer, so I can hit publish up here in the top, or here in blue, publish this. I'll choose not to keep it private. I'm going to delete that. We'll see what happens since this will be a little different, but I'll delete the dash because we don't need it. Here you also have the option for GitHub Enterprise, if you have a more advanced usage of this, but we'll just stick with github.com. Hit publish. It should push everything onto GitHub on the website. So now here we have the show in folder. So this is what's currently on my computer, our view on GitHub. Yeah, here's the project on GitHub now. And we can see my title that changed here in the README. So you can change some files here directly on GitHub. We probably will not for a game development project, but just to show that as an example, let me open this README. Here you have a bunch of different options. Over on the far right, we have edit this file. So you could just edit this directly here. So instead of title, let's put just this is a test change, period. We'll commit it. Here we'll just choose to commit directly to the main branch. So that like the main set of files. Later we'll talk about what branches are, but you could also create a new branch for this. But we'll just commit it to the main. And I won't add an extended description. There we go. Go back out. Code here on the top left. This is just like the overarching tab for all the code, or other things as well. Anything that will be in this project file. And here we can see this is a test change was made. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to close this, and I can close my old gitignore. Now here, now that I'm back, this is my own computer, right? I could hit fetch origin to grab any changes that were made, on the online version. So here there's one commit because I changed that README file online. So here I could hit pull origin, and it'll pull it down, copy it basically onto my own computer. Now I can show in Explorer. We can see this is a test change here on my own computer. Now let's go ahead, open up Unreal, and we'll just create a base simple project and put that onto GitHub. So we'll wait a second for this to open. I'll move my GitHub onto one side. And here we'll just create let's see, let's just do games. Just do a third-person template. I'll just leave it at blueprint, desktop, maximum. Let's add the starter content, not do ray tracing. Here, project location. Let's see. Yeah, so here, put it in. This is where I selected. For me, it's on my D drive, GitHub, project salamander. And I guess I put it inside this file as well. So let's put it in here where my hidden Git information is. You won't typically be able to see that. Select this folder. Let's give it a name. Salamander. It's surprisingly difficult to spell. I'll just change it so we're not having Project Salamander inside Project Salamander inside, right? So I'll just name it Salamander here. Hit create. Let this process. Oh yeah, you can see this. This already instantly, these files have been added. For now, let's just ignore it. Let's wait till this is completely done, and then we can take a look. Most of these files will just be completely meaningless because they're saved in like binary files. Yeah, so this is a binary file. So a lot of these assets actually get saved in binary or various different types of assets. I think most of the U assets in Unreal get saved as binary, but there might be exceptions or different formats within this. I'm not sure. So most of these won't, you won't be able to see the changes like we did earlier because they're too large to compare a difference between, what was added. So here we have this third-person map. Let me just save this. Let's see, let's go just content. I'll just make a new folder, add my name to it, Jake Herman, can add that up, open that up. So this is a blank file. In the gitignore currently, the one I added, blank files like this will be ignored and not be pushed if there's nothing in it. So let's see here, let me create a level. Just name this Jake's level. Right, and let's save that. So this will just be a completely blank thing. But let's save it, close. Now here we have all these different files that have been created with Unreal. So let me go down here, give it a summary. What are we going to call this? Commit, or these changes that we've made. Let's call it create Unreal project files. Let's see what the description looks like as a test. We'll say also create Jake's level and folder about commit. This will take a while because this is a lot of files being committed all at the same time. Usually if you're making slight changes here or there, you won't have to wait as long. But on this very initial commit, it'll be a bit. So we'll see how long this takes. But yeah, if we look through here, we can see just while it's committing. I'll make this bigger so we can see the full, excuse me, see the full titles. So we can see like the third person map. So this is some sort of information in the map. Oh, there it goes. But then there's also like materials and the characters and all that sort of stuff. So if we look at the history, we can see this new create Unreal project files push. And here it tells me this commit has not yet been pushed to the remote repository. So how we could do that is hit push origin up here or in blue, and push means to push changes that you have on your computer to the shared GitHub repository. So you can see here it's compressing objects and submitting them to the GitHub repository online. So we'll let that process. And again, this will take longer right now than it normally will since I'm creating so many files all at once. But later, once you just edit a few, it should go much faster. Let's see, while this is going, I'll probably be cut off again once it finishes. But in here, there's things called, let's look at this, things called branches. So right now, only there's a main branch. The main branch, or branches in general, are kind of like a string of changes that have been made over time. You can think of it as kind of like the first change happens, then the second change, and the third change. You just have a straight line. That's your main branch. But you can have additional branches. You could create a new branch that splits off from the main branch. So you can do different edits on that branch. And you could either you could have it permanently separated, which is usually called a fork. If you fork somebody's else's project to work on it on your own, and that's named because of the shape of fork, where you just have your prong come off forever. But here for this game development process, we want to share our work and merge them back together. So the branches will shoot off the main branch. You could work on it for a while and then merge it back to the main branch. We'll get into making those branches in a minute here. We'll wait for all these project files to be pushed. We can look again here in the Explorer. You can see I'm just killing time while this goes. We can look in these Git attributes. See, this is just a very basic file. If you want to do more complicated things with Git, in GitHub, then you can put in extra information into here. Excuse me. Generally for game development, I have not used this either for Unreal or Unity, so pretty safe to assume you can just ignore that. In here, we also have this Salamander project now, which we had created with Unreal. This salamander.u project, if you click on this will bring up the actual project itself. And in here, they have all these other files for information, used by the engine, or in content, it's the items that you create yourself. So in here, I have a jQuery file, which I made for myself with a UMap in it. So like a map object. Here, I created a folder for myself so that I have fewer chances of conflicting with somebody else's creations. So in GitHub, you don't check out a file. Everybody can edit any file at any time. And generally with code, that's fine because the code files are so small that GitHub can determine the differences. But since these are such big files and they're saved in binary, GitHub cannot determine these differences. So by creating my own file here, just for testing and just getting this done over the next early couple weeks, I could safely create things in my own file. And if other people aren't messing with the things in my file, I generally won't overwrite their work or they won't overwrite my work. So here, our push is finished, right? Fetch origin just does nothing. It's all synced up. Let's view on GitHub. Yeah, we could see our salamander with the description of create Unreal project files. Right, so salamander content. Here we have jQuery and my UMap level. If I click on this, since it's just like a binary file, it's not going to show you anything. You can click view raw. That will download what it is. I could try opening it. Let me try opening it in Notepad just to show. This is what it looks like. This is what the map file looks like if you were to open it. Just in something that doesn't know how to parse it. So it's a bunch of meaningless stuff. You can identify some things in here. But this is why it's hard for multiple people to work on the same, single file at the same time, because there's so much in here and it's so hard for Git to automatically compare what the differences are. We'll go ahead and delete that, close that. So there we have this, go back up to the top, we have our salamander file. Go ahead, close this. So we have our files project set up on GitHub. Excuse me, sorry, my throat. Let's set up, let's actually go back to view on GitHub. So now let's look at setting up rules. So there's, you can go into a ton of information here on GitHub. You can have different security policies. Here in settings, you can set up different rules for how branches can work. Yeah, here, so when we go to branches, branch protection rules. So right now, people who are collaborators can go ahead and just push branches and have, kind of free power to do what they will with merging different branches, which can cause problems. If people aren't paying 100% attention, or even if two people try to do the same thing at the same time, or conflicting things at the same time. So let's look at this. Let's just look at these protection rules. I can set a rule for require a pull request. So we can look at what pull requests are. But here, require a pull request before merging. Let's go ahead and do that. So when enabled, all commits must be made, let me zoom in, to a non-protected branch. and submitted via pull request before they can be merged. You can add additional rules as well, so like require approvals. So when a pull request is made, that pull request needs a number of approvals to be able to be merged. So you could say, at least one person needs to approve your merge, or 3 people need to. I'm going to go ahead and not do require approvals, but require a pull request. Let's see, we need to name this. Require pull. Create rule. So I need to sign in. So as soon as you make any settings, setting changes, or changes to the security rules, then you'll need to enter in your password. Let me pull. Rule invalid. Uh-oh. Oh, because I had a space in the name. Let's see. Require pull. So you can't use spaces for anything. And that's generally a good rule for a lot of computer things. I know a lot of more modern things are acceptable of spaces, but like for a lot of programming or file things, it's good to have it as no spaces. There we go. So we have that rule set up now. Let's go ahead. Let's look at making a branch. So let's sync this. Nothing to pull. Nobody else has, changed any files here. Let's go ahead. Create a new branch. You can name this whatever you want. Let's name it Jake's. Let's not do an apostrophe. Jake's first work. Great. There we go. So now I have a branch. Let's publish it. Let's see. Can we go to GitHub and see what that looks like? Let's go to Insights, right on this tabs up here. And I believe it's under Network. Here we go. So we could see this will show all the branches. Let me zoom in. Right now and these are all the changes as well. I guess I won't hover it when I'm zoomed in. Let me refresh this. I think I broke it. So the first initial commit, next change, GitHub project files, update README, create Unreal project. But you could also see main. And then at the same point is Jake's first work on there, which hopefully I spelled correctly. And those are currently at the same point. So let's go ahead, minimize. In Jake's first work, let's say, let's make I was going to edit something just in a text file to show, but let's edit something in Unreal, see what that looks like. So let's open up Unreal, open up Salamander. Wait for this here to open. Let's just add like a light. So let's see. First, it'll always open up to a particular file for the current level. So I always, when I start, want to check, make sure I'm working at the right level. Let's go to Jake's level. In here, let's add a light, the directional light. What else can we add? Do a skylight. Sky atmosphere. Exponential height fog, right? So we could just add whatever elements here that we want. Let's see, shapes, let's add a plane. Hit F to zoom back in, right, there we go. Let's make this plane bigger, let's do 100. There we go, just big plane. Let's give it material. Give it these prototype grids, I like these. These look nice, so much better. Then we need to rebuild lighting. Let's do that too while we're here. Let's see how this will work. So we're building our lighting. There we go, compile our shaders, make sure everything's set for when we push it. Let's see, we have unsaved change. There we go, save. Now, every time when we push or pull from GitHub, we want to make sure we close Unreal. That way we're not changing the files using GitHub while Unreal's open. That's a very easy way for you to pull somebody's changes. But if your Unreal's open, your Unreal will say, oh, we deleted those. GitHub will say, oh, they deleted those. And it's a very easy way for you to delete some previous person's work. So always make sure you close Unreal when you push or pull. So here we updated this. Even though we did multiple things, every single thing in the map is saved in this one file. So this is the UMap file. So again, that's why it's hard. If two people change this map, GitHub doesn't know, what parts to keep, since so much in this one file is changing. Now here it's suggesting a name, update Jake's level.umap. Sure, I'll do that. Commit to Jake's first work. Great. Now let's push this. All right, so now I'm still in my current branch. Let's see. And now it's asking, do I want to do a pull request? So we'll come back to that. Let's look on GitHub. Close that. Yeah, a recent push less than a minute ago. Perfect. Let's go to our insights network. All right, so here's our new branch here in blue. We have update Jake's level.umap. There we go. There it is. Right, so we've branched off of that. Let's go ahead, close this. Now here, I want to go back and merge my work with the main branch. So currently that work is on this branch, right? I can go to main and start changing stuff, but that leaves two different branches that have completely different things. So I can merge these. To merge this, this is called a pull request. So I'm requesting GitHub to pull the information to the other branch. So let's see, let's hit preview pull request. So here's the one file. Here it's just a binary file, so it can't show me what the actual differences are. But we'll say that's correct. All right, create pull request. Now here it pulls it up on GitHub on the repository. Update Jake's level.umap. I can add a comment if I would like. You could even add images. You could do all sorts of stuff. Let's just say update to Jake's level. Create pull request. Now it's checking if it can merge. Boom, green check mark. No conflicts with the base branch. So nobody else tried to change that same file or changed it before I changed it. If somebody else had, normally if it was a small file that was not like a binary file, GitHub would be able to tell you what the differences are. But in this case, it was a level file, so that could have caused problems, and also nobody else changed it, which is good. So let's create this merge pull request. Here again, shows the information for it. You could again change it here if you want, but I think just you could leave it the same. Confirm. All right, pull requests successfully merged and closed. Now you're all set. Jake's first work branch can be safely deleted. So I can delete that branch now that I've worked on, since everything's merged into the main branch. Let's go ahead, just delete it. So that's deleted. Let's look here, go back to my GitHub desktop. I'm on Jake's first work, fetch origin. So it's fetching. Now it says publish branch, right? Has not been published. That's right, because we deleted it on the online version. So I could go here on my own desktop or on my computer, delete, delete. There we go. Now I'm on main. I can sync, make sure, or fetch origin to sync, make sure I'm all set up or all synced up. That's good. Let's view it on GitHub. Here we are. Let's look at our network. We could see the branch coming off. I create my update to the level. I push that back to the main branch. or I do the pull request back to the main branch to merge it. Now let's see, now to work with other people, we could go to settings, collaborators. So here it's visible to everyone, but nobody can directly access it. So here I can add people by username, full name, or email. You could go ahead and invite whoever is needed. They'll get an email about it, and then they'll be able to access the repository through their GitHub desktop. For them to do that, they can go on their GitHub desktop. They could go File and Clone. So here they'll be able to clone a repository. GitHub desktop, or github.com, excuse me, has my repositories. So the things I've worked on here. GitHub Enterprise will skip URL. So let's see, I can, to clone it, get my GitHub URL, paste it in there, choose my path for where I'm going to save it, and clone, and it'll copy. Since I already have it here, I'll hit cancel. That's how from GitHub Desktop you can copy the existing project if you have not yet gotten it. I believe there's another way here. You could do it directly through the online GitHub project repository. If you click on this green code button, here in local, you can do open with GitHub Desktop, I believe. Or you could download it as a zip file even if you don't want to make edits and be able to contribute those. If you just want to download whatever the project is, you can do that as well. That's generally everything you need to know to get started with GitHub Desktop. Feel free to let me know if anybody has questions. I am happy to help.